Welcome to Old Fashioned Finance, the podcast that mixes cocktails and high finance. I'm your host, Caleb Frankert, and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow money muddler, Jason Burnell.
Caleb, can a podcast about finance be entertaining?
Not without alcohol.
All right, let's mix it up.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do the mixing.
Man, it's been a little while since we sat down and did this. So.
It has. Yeah, it's just, we've been busy.
Yes.
It's good though.
Doing financial advising.
Yeah, doing the
job that we get paid
the planning, advising part.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It is.
I actually, the last appointment that I had, this is interesting. I don't know if he listens to the podcast or not, but he said, I'm an extrovert and I'm going to be so ramped up after this meeting. He said, my wife didn't come because she's such an introvert that this will wear her out and she'll need to take a nap. And I'm like, you know what? I'm an introvert and I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I cannot wait to crawl back into my hole.
Yeah, dude, I'm an extrovert and I need to crawl into my hole. It's just, it's good. It's like, it's really, really fulfilling work.
Yes.
And I think if we didn't have a soul and didn't care about our clients, we wouldn't be emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
Mentally exhausted.
Physically exhausted.
Well, I mean, I've been eating Dairy Queen too for the last 2 weeks. It's pretty bad.
I've been eating not a lot, actually.
I know. I noticed that. You're looking slim.
I don't think so. Anyway, you know what I haven't been doing much of?
I know.
Cocktails.
Yeah, what the heck? We need to practice more.
Yeah, we're going to do that today. On this episode, we're talking alphabet soup.
Ooh.
See, we're talking about food and now drinks.
I know. Here we go.
But what are we talking about, alphabet soup? I'm talking about the professional designations, those financial designations that are tagged onto your business card. Jason Burnell, CFP. Caleb Frankert, EA.
Yeah.
Jiminy Cricket, XYZ. What the heck does it mean? I think a lot of people are like, that's cool. You got letters behind your name.
Right.
I think that's a good thing. What's that mean? We're going to dig into that today. So we're going to spend time talking really, and the way that we kind of split this up is there's three kind of areas, I think, that at least for the sake of the podcast, because we do everything in threes, that we're going to cover a couple designations in each, what they mean for you. But before we do all that, goodness, let's drink something.
Oh, I think we should have made a double today. I'm just saying.
I did make it a double.
Oh, I love you so much.
Here's why I made it a double, though. This what we're drinking today is called an ABC cocktail.
Oh.
Go ahead and ask.
Yeah.
Ask me.
ABC stands for...
I don't know. But it goes with alphabet soup.
Down south, it's like ABC liquor store. Maybe that's what it is.
No, I don't know. I found this on Difford's Guide, which has some really interesting cocktails. Yeah. However, no explanation for what ABC stands for. Yeah. No history on the drink. We used to spend a lot more time on the history of the drink. We would have had nothing for this because this is the only place I could find it. Now, there is something called an ABC shot that's different.
Okay.
We don't want anything to do with that, Jason.
No, we can't do shots.
So if you're a shot person and you've been waiting, look up ABC shots and listen to this episode. We'll talk about alphabet soup.
We're not doing that today.
By the end of the episode, you won't be able to explain any of the content. So, let's dive right in. Jason, I said I made this a double because, here are the ingredients. We start with 7 fresh mint leaves.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's refreshing.
I've had a lot of coffee today. So
1 ounce of port wine.
Okay,
that's new. 1 ounce of cognac.
Oh, that's something we haven't had much of lately.
Sounds sweet so far, right?
Yep.
1/4 of an ounce of maraschino liqueur. Ooh. We use Luxardo. If you can't find Luxardo, it's kind of a hard find some places.
Right.
A cherry liqueur is not exactly the same thing, but I think it'll
just
get
use
you
Mad
through.
Dog 2020. Is that what you're saying?
Sure, why not? You might as well just make an ABC shot while we're at it. And then a dash of simple syrup, and we're going to garnish this with lemon peel and a Luxardo cherry. So, Jason, I have not tried this.
It's very pretty.
It is a pretty drink. I'll say that much.
It's like a deep red.
Yeah,
and the whole lemon peel on the. It looks.
It's
nice.
appetizing. It looks nice. Good, and it smells like a cocktail. Let's dig right in.
Ooh.
Oh, the mint.
Did
you just get the mint at the end there?
Remember last time I was like, that mint is like really earthy tasting.
Yeah.
This is not. It's minty. Wow, that's good. I like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I was a little worried. But
this is interesting because most drinks with mint require you to muddle the mint leaf up.
Right.
And this called for 7 leaves is quite a bit.
Just throw it in there, right?
Just threw it in there.
In the shaker?
And, yep, mix it up. And I think the ice is probably doing the work there.
Maybe that's the difference, because a lot of times with mint in a cocktail, when you muddle it, like I said, it's kind of earthy. It's like
you're expressing the oils.
Yeah.
And that's the delicate balance, right, Jason?
Yeah.
So you want to express the oils in the mint, but sometimes you can go overboard, and then you get that vegetal.
Yeah.
This
is like a salad. What the heck?
Right. That's not in this case. So here's the deal. I said I made a double because really, if you think about it, alcohol content, the cognac's the only thing here really that's the big hitter. And,
right.
I mean, that's not really a big hitter either. So the port is, 10, 12%, whatever port wine is.
I'm definitely getting the wine through it though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think without the simple syrup dash, it could have been wrong.
Yeah.
There's just enough sweetness, and I don't like super sweet drinks. So there's just enough sweetness there. If you like wine at all, I think this would be a really good drink for you.
We have mixed wine into a couple of cocktails now. So this one, and I would say winner.
Yeah,
this is a winner.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I would make this again.
Like you said, I agree. I think this is pushing my boundaries for sweetness, but it's not overboard.
Right.
It's right there. So,
but without it, I think it would have been too whiny.
Yeah.
Because the cognac is just not even there. Do you taste it at all? I don't taste it at all.
Not really.
I'm tasting mint and I'm tasting port.
Let me go back in for another.
Round 2.
Yeah, just barely.
Just barely.
Yeah. Hey, wine and cocktails so far has been okay. This is a good one. Remember we did the New York Sour, which was basically a whiskey sour with dry red floated on top.
Right.
That was a good one.
What was the one with the Benedictine that we did?
We did a couple of them with Benedictine.
That was pretty.
Yeah, but that's not a wine.
I know, that's more
of
a
liqueur.
Liqueur, yeah.
So far, wine and cocktails, I'm liking it.
Kind of liking it.
It's a nice change of pace for sure.
Exactly. Awesome.
Yeah, well, enough of that. I think this is a good, and I wouldn't even say like a summer drink necessarily. This could be winter. This could be year round.
This is pretty a good cocktail to have, but
a gateway cocktail, I think, perhaps.
A gateway.
Yeah, like if you're not into
in a good way.
Yeah, if you're not into cocktails and like bourbon and all the heavy hitters in your cocktail, this is probably a good one to start out on.
Sure, definitely. All
right. You want to get into the financial designations? This is the fun part.
Oh, yeah. Woohoo.
All right. So financial planning designations is what we're going to jump into first. And Jason, when we're talking about alphabet soup, again, I think many times clients get a business card. They go, oh, okay, I see like 6 letters behind this guy's name.
Right.
He must be really smart. So first, I'm just going to kick this off by saying there are about 200 financial designations out there that are available that you could go attain, whether it's, just you go and you sit through a course and you take a test and you get the letters behind your name. But I think what a lot of folks are concerned about is which ones really matter.
Right. So these are the list that we have here is pretty good. These are going to be your, I guess, not pay a fee, get some letters behind your name designations.
Right.
They're going to take some effort.
These take some commitment for sure.
Right. And probably either previous experience or education.
Yeah.
That's like going to have to be mixed in. So it's not, again, go pay your fee and now you got magically some
and we've been there, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There are like insurance companies that will offer these, you want to be a retirement consultant, you want to be a this, that, or the other, come take the class, get the letters. And, every once in a while you get someone who goes, yeah, but what does that mean? What does that do for me?
Exactly.
To your point, there's some real work and education and experience behind these designations we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
So let's jump right in, Jason, and talk about the first one, the financial planning designation specifically.
Okay.
And I guess to set this up further, we're going to talk about financial planning designations.
Sure.
We're going to talk about what I would say are more investment planning designations. And then finally, tax planning designations.
Sure.
So kicking it off with financial planning designations, I think the big one we all know, and probably the one that's most familiar to listeners, would be the CFP, right?
Yep.
Hey, you're one of those.
I am.
Was that an easy process?
That process was very long.
Rigorous,
very
right?
difficult. Yeah. This is one, so certified financial planning designation, it just is. It's got a lot of prerequisites. Experience prerequisite, requires a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
Like that's a pretty big deal. There are definitely smart people without bachelor's degree, but there's just the reality is that this one requires at the absolute minimum bachelor's in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's the funny thing. It could be a bachelor's in anything.
It could be, yeah. And it's just I think it's more of a, did you commit yourself to something to finish?
You can't just decide to get your CFP and 6 months later have it.
No. And so the coursework, depending on the area of study that you did in college, it's very planning heavy, tax, estate, investment, all of those courses will be covered. And they're, on average, folks are spending at least a year on that or longer.
And this is after having the prereq stuff locked up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if you're graduating high school and your dream is to be a CFP, you're going to have some work involved.
You got to get your bachelor's degree. And a lot of colleges have bachelor's degree programs in CFP, but they're fewer and fewer. And then the exam is just simply very difficult. National passing average on that exam, we had an intern that was taking it, so I was familiar with the last round, and he passed. But it was like 61%. I mean, that's pretty low.
It is.
It's also psychologically confusing. You walk into this testing center, they pat you down like a criminal.
That's most of the testing centers.
Yeah. They're required to do it, and they, tell you you're going to go to jail if you cheat.
They look in your waistband.
Yeah, they do. Inside the socks was one they did at mine. That was pretty intense. You just don't know what to expect, and that you're going in there with the odds being kind of stacked against you.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then the experience. They want you to have 3 years of experience, which is pretty significant because it's hard to get your foot in the door in any financial field, especially when you're just starting off.
Right. So we went over some of these requirements, bachelor's degree. We talked about CFP coursework, which a lot of times is built into a bachelor's degree, which is great. We talked about the CFP exam, which is a pat down and a drain on your emotions. And then the 3 years of professional experience. There's one thing in here we didn't really touch on, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about the capstone and what all that involves, because that's another requirement, right?
Yeah, so the capstone was something that was added just a few years ago. Really, this is like I'd call it a financial planning case study. It's probably a better way. So just imagine like a person's life situation's got some complexities involved in it. They want you to take the person's real world spot, wherever they're at right now, and create a financial plan that meets their needs and their priorities. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do as a financial planner.
That's the application.
It is. It really is, because, we go into meetings. We just said we had a whole bunch of them, and we said they're exhausting, and, we love our clients, and you want them to achieve every area of financial planning the best way possible. But the reality is just like our mental capacity is being taxed. This isn't something they do every day. So we have to be the navigator, and sometimes the person that's holding folks accountable to get the most important priorities done first. And that's what that work is. And I'll tell you, I think without that in the coursework, it was missing a real practical application.
I think you and I have a lot of licenses and things like that we've all worked for. I guess we don't still have them, but we have taken a lot of tests.
We've taken lots of tests for licenses.
We've had a lot of licenses, and I think, I've mentioned it on the podcast before. There are sometimes you put the work in, you take the test, then you go back to work, you sit in the chair and you go, wait a second, I'm supposed to what?
Yeah.
So the capstone is really pushing your comprehension of all the culmination of everything you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
Now show me you can do it.
So yeah, you're mentioning the securities licenses and things that's how we originally got into the business. And since we're a fee only firm, no commissions here. So we don't have those licenses anymore. We're not brokering. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. And those tests, again, it is like study, take it, pass a background check, and you can be a practitioner. Yeah, I think that's malpractice. Okay.
Yeah, well,
That's like nobody's ready after they pass those exams.
Yeah.
They know some stuff.
It's almost like a driver's license.
Kinda. We know how well 16-year-olds drive after their license.
Yeah, they're putting you behind the wheel. Go ahead. Make mistakes. Cut your teeth. I won't say it on this podcast what was told to me by the advisor I worked with when I first got licensed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, bud, you got to go get something kicked in for the next 6 months.
Exactly.
And that's how you learn.
Yeah, and it had to do with some manhood.
Yeah, I guess I could say teeth, but that's not what was said to me.
No, it wasn't. But that was kind of the old. I think that's sad. That was the old way. And, here we really try to bring in talent that they're smart, they have a general care for humankind.
Yeah.
And then we can teach them financial planning concepts much, much easier than, hey, you passed your exam. I'm going to throw you over the fence. Have a nice life. Hope you don't die.
So the CFP, I think, is the big one in our industry for sure, Jason. I mean, honestly, if you see those letters after, and everybody, that doesn't mean everybody's a good guy with a CFP necessarily, but you ought to feel comfortable at some level, right? That they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They've been through the ringer.
Yep.
You should feel pretty confident in working with a CFP. The CHFC is the next one I'm going to transition into because it's not on the same level necessarily, but there are some different requirements. Let's not gloss over the fact that they're put through the ringer too. So
sure.
And I'll pull out some of the main differences here. A degree is not required.
Right.
Let's say you've got a financial professional who got into the industry early on, lots of years of experience, would like the CFP, but isn't going back to college and all that kind of stuff. There's like 3 exams with the CHFC. They don't have a comprehensive exam like the CFP.
Right. They're splitting into sections. It's but it's still pretty intense.
Rigorous process. Yeah. I actually worked with a guy at the bank who got a CHFC, worked his butt off to get it, and then like 6 months decided, I need to do the CFP thing. I'm like, you are a glutton for punishment. God bless you.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had both. I mean, Jason, if you see CFP, CHFC on the business card, you know that there's been some work put in. You know that there's a good level of comprehension.
And again, on that financial planning perspective, I think you just have to say this person committed themselves. They take education seriously. And they finished. Okay. And it's kind of why that bachelor's degree piece is important in the CFP process. But like Caleb actually mentioned, it doesn't mean they're good people.
Right.
Okay. So you still have to go in there and trust your spidey senses.
Yeah.
Assess them. If you don't like them, you should probably go somewhere else.
Well, here's the last thing I'll say about the CFP. I mean, I guess I'll let you say about the CFP is what percentage of financial advisors / quote unquote financial planners out there have their CFP?
I don't know the percentages anymore. I'll tell you, the pandemic kind of screwed all that stuff up pretty well. It's very low.
It's pretty low.
It's very low.
I think there's maybe 3 in our town.
Yeah. And in Northwest Ohio, where we're from, there's less than 30.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and there's hundreds of financial planners,
right?
Advisors, planners.
Yeah. I learned about some new ones that I didn't know about today. All right.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so I'm building this. If Jason, you can see what I'm doing. If you're one of our clients and you've heard kind of our philosophy here, you see where I'm going. There are 3 pillars that we kind of build on, right?
Absolutely.
We look at financial planning, we look at investment planning, we look at tax strategy. Those are the 3 things we hang our hat on here. So
only the nerds look at tax strategy.
Well, this is true. Let's go into what everybody thinks we do for a living, which is investment planning, because that's what we do. We sit behind 3 monitors, 4 monitors, and we just trade all day, right? No.
Yeah.
The investment planning is the glamorous part of the business. I think what people think we spend most of our time doing. But let's talk about investment planning designations. Jason, the real nerds out there will know what I'm talking about, and you and I have talked about this one.
Yeah.
Probably the big dog out there is the CFA, the Chartered Financial Analyst.
Yep.
Yeah, so these guys are the ultimate nerds, right? These guys, and gluttons for punishment, by the way.
Yes.
This is the commit to no life for 3 years. If you're married, put that on hold.
Right.
If you got kids, well, put them on hold.
Yeah, you might want to put them up for adoption.
So this is the there's some requirements: bachelor's degree / 4,000 hours of work experience, right? So the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in the workforce,
right,
in this field. And then there's 3 levels of CFA exams, which require about 300 hours of study on average.
Is nuts.
So if you like statistics in college, this might be up your alley. But we're talking at least 3 years to get this one. And when I say these are the true nerds, right? These are, and I say nerd with all due affection.
Yeah.
I love these folks.
Right.
These are the people who are, quite honestly, I can't think of any CFAs in Defiance.
No.
There might be one in Toledo.
There might be one. And I've had former colleagues taking this exam, and just exactly how much effort. It's basically a 6 months on, 6 month off kind of rotation. probably one of the worst parts about this exam is that they don't get instant results. At least they get used to.
Oh man, it's like the old day. Let's go back in time.
Yeah,
where you're waiting months for your results.
And I think that's why they do the 6 month on, 6 month off, because they have to make sure they pass the levels.
Yeah.
These folks are going to be the ones that are running mutual funds.
Bingo.
EFT.
You remember when we wanted to start a mutual fund?
We want to do lots of stuff.
Like, hey, a CFA and a CFP.
We were just talking about being in a rock band today.
Wow.
So
I've got a better chance of doing that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, they're going to be running money.
Yeah.
And like when
Which
I mean,
is not what we do, by the way.
Not what we do in the market, in the weeds, all the way through all of the nuances involved.
These are the guys that are satisfied working out of the basement with a drop ceiling, fluorescent lights, no windows, and no communication with people all day. Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultra nerd level, it's good. I mean, I love these people too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have
fun to talk to.
Like I said, I mean, former colleagues that were taking it, and they were just some of the most fascinating folks that I've
very
ever
intelligent,
met. Very smart. So these guys, if you find a financial advisor that's got a CFP and a CFA, they've worked extraordinarily hard. They take their practice extraordinarily serious. Now, having conversation with them might be a bit of a challenge, but they're still good people, and I think you have to know that they're probably got, I would think, a lot of your interest in mind.
Yeah. So the CFA, some of you listeners may have heard that term before, may understand what we're talking about there. One that maybe you don't hear as much that also is another one of these strenuous investment planning designations is the CIMA, Certified Investment Management Analyst.
Yep.
Different requirements again. And these are all, I don't want to say sponsored, but they're available through different channels, right? So the CIMA, typically less exams, but commanding more work experience. Yep. So you can kind of see with the CFP and the CHFC, you've got maybe education heavy on one and then work experience heavy on the other.
Yep.
CFA, again, education heavy maybe on one and then valuing work experience on the other.
Yep.
But again, if you're running into a CIMA, a CIMA, you probably don't want to talk about your hot stock tip of the day, right? These folks know what's going on.
So I would focus on the analyst part of these designations. I mean, these guys are in, the company's financials down to the, line items, and that's their jobs, and they're really good at it. And again, every analyst I've ever met, has so much to share from a data perspective, and knows investment through and through.
Yeah.
So, maybe not as strong on the planning side, but definitely strong on the investment planning side.
Let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, which is tax planning.
Okay.
We actually built these last 2 weeks of reviews centered around our tax planning and our tax strategy, right? So we're talking about nerds here. Like you said, only the extreme nerds like this stuff. You love it too.
I do too. I can't help it.
So everyone knows the CPA, the Certified Public Accountant, right?
Yep.
Talk about the ultimate glutton for punishment. I've had a couple of CPAs as clients that are fascinating individuals, super smart people.
Yep.
And, in my opinion, I'm like, look, I'll take you as a client, but you are not allowed to leave because I'm going to have so many questions for you. But this one's pretty rigorous. Bachelor's degree, 150 hours of CPA education, and then the uniform CPA exam.
I know.
Which, it sounds real close to the freaking bar exam, if you ask me.
Well, it's designed to be that way.
We're talking about a high barrier of entry here, and then 2 years of public accounting experience. Here's the thing I'll say about CPAs. This position is so highly regarded that I've met folks who came in to have an investment conversation, and when I give my input on an investment, they'll say, this all sounds good. Let me run it by my CPA.
Right.
And you've heard this one too. You go, that's great. And when I need plumbing done, I'll call my electrician.
Right.
I understand that you trust them because they know a lot of stuff.
Right.
About taxation and probably some other stuff. These are also people who are digging deep into companies' financials and things like that.
Right.
They are considered a financial advisor, right? That might not be what they do, but they are a trusted financial advisor from a fiduciary capacity.
They're certainly consulting, clients, businesses. They, as a CPA, if they don't know, what makes a good company and what doesn't, they're just not paying attention. So I get why clients have that, tendency. And, these guys are also auditing.
Yeah.
They're digging in and
another practical thing that these folks are doing is helping business owners value their businesses and selling and completing those transactions. Right? I mean, they're way in the weeds.
Right.
They're way in the weeds. So
which is fragile even from how to manage it, personalities and businesses.
Yeah.
That's just hard.
Well, a lot of folks hear CPA and they think this is the guy that I pay $150 to. He files my 1040.
No, that's not.
They might be doing that, right? But that's not what they do.
Yeah, we're finding though less and less CPAs are like, I don't want that business anymore.
Yeah,
it used to be
absolutely.
Employment's hard, so finding a preparer in their office is really difficult. So I'll do tax filing for my clients that have the most complex situations.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to file, 2 W-2 1040 every single year for the people off the street.
Boring, right? Yeah. So we have I would consider a friend here in town, good CPA, knows his stuff for sure. That yes, he's looking for those complex cases, right? At this stage in his career.
Well, that's where his value is at.
Absolutely.
I mean, doing a regular tax return, there's just no value in that. And,
right.
I mean, if Walmart can,
we love you, Dave.
Yeah. If Walmart can train a Jackson Hewitt person to do taxes.
Don't get me started on that. I had a conversation just today about this one.
Not sure it's a good
Let's
thing.
talk about their training. No, let's not.
We're done.
So
actually.
CPAs, I have a lot of respect. We have a lot of respect for what they do. Like anything else, there's good and bad ones. There's some that really, and I think as a financial advisor, finding someone who gets what we're trying to accomplish that we can work with, that's great.
And I think unfortunately in a lot of cases they have adversarial relationships with other financial planners or advisors, and that's just wrong. We want to be your friends, number one. We both want the same.
Nobody
thing
wants a surprise at tax time.
Yeah.
Let's be on the same page.
And that's why we spend so much time on tax planning in our firm.
Right.
So
we dedicated 2 weeks of meeting with everybody.
Oh, gosh.
So
moving on.
That brings us to the next designation, which is the EA, the enrolled agent. Hey, I'm one of those.
You are. Wow.
I have no interest in preparing taxes, folks.
Oh, come on, man.
Leave that to the tax preparing professionals. But typically the EA, that's geared towards someone who's been a tax preparer for 5 years or more. This is the highest credential from the IRS, whatever that means, okay? Whatever that means to you. But it is the highest credential from an IRS standpoint. And, I would put it this way. My experience would be it's narrower in scope.
Sure.
Right? We're not talking about valuing businesses and all that. It's less accounting focused than the CPA folks are.
Right.
And with something like this, no degree requirement. There is no experience requirement if you can pass the test.
Right.
And, as I saw last year, that waiting 3 months to see if you passed after the worst one.
Little agonizing.
But
yeah. And I think in a lot of these, even though the experience is lower, you could have done this without experience. You had to have
you're
some
a really
knowledge.
good test taker, and right.
Yeah. I mean, you're a nerd, so that makes sense.
Yeah. No, so the point of this whole episode really is these are kind of the 3 pillars that we've based our business on.
Yep.
Here are the designations that we feel matter, that mean something. There are, like I said, about 200 designations out there that are available. So you got to be able to cut through the fluff a little bit. But let's be honest. If you're dealing with a CFP or a CHFC, a CFA or a CIMA, a CPA or an EA, you're dealing with knowledgeable folks. So if you trust those people, if they're giving you the warm and fuzzies, if you think you can go have a beer with them or a cocktail, if you think you can have an ABC cocktail with those folks and they've got these letters behind their names, they're probably good folks to work for. So that was fun, fun as alphabet soup can be.
Yeah.
We're going a little over here, so let's close out that tab.
Yeah.
Thanks for having a drink with us this week, folks. It is time to close out the tab. If you have a question or a topic you want addressed on the Old Fashioned Finance Podcast, be sure to email us at podcast@bluejfg.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to share the show with someone you love or just someone who needs a little money muddling themselves. You can stay up to date with all of the latest action by following us on Facebook. Old Fashioned Finance is brought to you by Blue Jay Financial Group, that's bluejayfg.com, and produced by Podastery Studios. We've been your hosts, Caleb Frankert, EA, Jason Burnell, CFP.
With the little R in a circle.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. When you getting your MD? PhD? Come on, man.
Never. Hey, let's talk about the SEMA.
Okay.
Blue Jay Financial Group, LLC. Blue Jay is a registered investment advisor registered with the state of Ohio. Registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The presence of this advertisement on this podcast shall not be directly or indirectly interpreted as a solicitation of investment advisory services to persons of another jurisdiction unless otherwise permitted by statute. Follow-up or individualized responses to a consumer in a particular state by Blue Jay and the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation shall not be made without first complying with jurisdiction requirements or pursuant an applicable state exemption. All verbal and written consent on this presentation is for information purposes only. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Blue Jay unless otherwise specifically cited. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to other parties' informational accuracy or completeness. All information or ideas provided should be discussed in detail with an advisor, accountant, or legal counsel prior to implementation.